back, relax, and let's have a chapter chat. I'm your host, Jessica Foster, and today we are joined by a best-selling author, Rhys Bowen. Thanks for being here, Rhys.
How are you, Jessica?
I'm doing fantastic. We're so excited to have you here because you're a New York Times bestseller and you have a new book coming out as well.
I do. I have, yeah. I'm always very excited when these standalone novels come out because they're all so different from each other, which gives me a chance to explore all sorts of places I've enjoyed in the past. And one of them, as we can guess from the cover, might be Scotland. In fact, it's the Isle of Skye.
And that's the castle in the Glen.
Well, I'm one of these people who likes to give myself a challenge when I write. I don't ever want to write sort of, page one, happy ending. So this one takes place mainly in 1965. And it features a very, very famous author. So think Agatha Christie fame, millions of books sold. And she is suffering from dementia and cannot her last book. So she hires a young up-and-coming author to finish it for her. And this girl is sent up to the Isle of Skye to do research to make sure she gets it all right. And while she's there investigating, she starts to think that maybe the story is not fiction after all. Maybe it's a true murder. And then maybe she starts to think that the woman has something to do with it, which is impossible because the woman's Australian. And so we never quite know where we're going. So I said I like to give myself challenges. A large chunk of the book is written by Iris Blackburn, the writer, not me. She's written it. And it's not really her normal style. So I've been writing a book in someone else's persona, not a normal style, which I have to say was a little bit of a challenge, but was fun to do.
And so how did you do that? How did you get into someone else's style?
It kept me on my toes. And I had to keep remembering when I went to the next chapter, I'm not writing this, Iris Blackburn is. So.
And you've got a little bit of mystery in here, murder, and also history all combined into one. So you've got a lot going on here.
It's funny because obviously my background is that of a mystery writer. When I'm writing just a historical novel, I keep thinking, okay, when's the body going to be found? And then no body in this book. But this one does, it does have a couple of murders. It does have some really big plot twists too. So I love to get to a book and I read something that throws me out of what I'm expecting. And, when I look at the page and I go, what?
Yeah, I like that too, because it really keeps you on the edge of your seat.
I do use my own past a lot in these books, I think. When I'm writing, I do like to go back to a place on the whole and just sit there and I did a book called The Venice Sketchbook, and I've been to Venice many times, but I went back just for the book to say, what do I notice? Oh, that's interesting. I noticed that someone's lowered a basket down from upstairs from over a canal, and someone has put the morning newspaper and a pint of milk into it, and now they're pulling it back up again. Things like that you could never make up. You have to just experience. So I love to go back to the place. I was planning to go back to Skye in the fall, but then my husband's been very ill, so I couldn't leave him. So I had to just rely on my memories this time, which I have to say are very sharp still. And of course, Skye's not changed. You can still go to the same little village and probably find the same people who lived in it all those years ago.
Well, I would say that you have done an amazing job remembering all of the details.
I have been doing 2.5 books a year, which I think everybody will tell you is completely crazy. So I do one of the Royal Spinets. I do one of these lovely big standalones like the Castle in the Glen, which has a fantastic cover, as you see. And then I do the Molly Murphy series, which is about an Irish immigrant in New York City in the early 1900s. And the books are, the Royal Spinets books are fun. You're going to read them and you're going to laugh. But the Molly Murphy ones are much more serious. They deal with the immigrant experience. And as that series goes along, they deal much more with the role of women and the treatment of women at that time. If I took you to that New York, you'd know your way around very well. Not that much has changed. We could take you around Greenwich Village, Lower East Side. But the fact is half the population couldn't vote. And that's something I'm very aware of, that women were the property of their husbands. They could be beaten by their husbands. They had no right to their children if they ever left a marriage. So I think we're highlighting much more the injustices to women at that time. And what I'm doing right now is I'm writing that series with my daughter, because I simply couldn't do 3 books a year. And I kept getting all of these emails saying, when is there going to be another Molly book? And so my daughter came to me and said, I think I'd like to write that series with you. So I was slightly hesitant because I know she's a good writer, but I thought, well, what if it doesn't work out? It'd be awful to say to my daughter, no, this isn't working. So I said, well, we'll give it a try. What we do is often we'll alternate chapters. And she said, you didn't have Molly take an umbrella with her and it's going to rain later that day. And I say, it's fiction. But so she does come up with lots of little snippets that make the book so real. So I'm gradually stepping back. Each book, I let her write more and more, and I'm the mentor in the background more. And then, I hope soon that she has good ideas. I hope she will take off with her own series very soon. Her name's Clare Broyles, by the way, if you're looking her up.
That is amazing that you can share that together and you can mentor your daughter. And then you're also looking for her to spread her wings completely as well.
Well, it's very nice for me too, because when we're working, we talk every day. And my husband will come in and I'm on the phone and he will say, who are you calling? And I say, oh, that was Claire. And he says, you talked to her yesterday. And I go, yes, we're working. So we've got this great excuse to chat every single day. And she lives in Arizona, and we have a winter home in Arizona. We actually just got back to California this week. So I do see her all winter, and that's when we will talk through new plot ideas and decide what we want to do next. And then in the summer, she will come out to California and stay, and we will get the bones of the story done and then start writing it. So, but it is wonderful that I can help her career to blossom too, because too many beginning writers, it's a really uphill slog these days to get anyone to notice it and to get anyone to publish it. So the fact is, we've been to a couple of conventions together, and I said to her, first-time writers don't normally get treated like this. Enjoy it. You get to sit on the best table, you get to be on the best panel. Doesn't normally happen to a first-time writer.
Because it is a very competitive space.
Very well these days. I mean, the big thing is just trying to get an agent. And if you haven't got an agent, no publisher will look at you. But everybody, I don't think anybody really knows what they want anymore. You hear publishers say, "Oh, cozy mysteries are dead," or "serious mysteries are dead," or "No." Well, the most recent thing is no more World War II. We don't want any more World War II. But recently, people, I think, don't want war. They don't want anything unpleasant. There's enough that's unsettling in our lives right now. We want something that is reassuring in a way. We want something that has a happy ending, that we feel I can get into this book and I can be lost in this story and feel good at the end of it. And I think lots of people feel that. My last year's book, you can see on the shelf behind me, Mrs. Endicott's Splendid Adventure, is selling really well, I think because it was the sort of book that people can feel good about. It's a woman whose husband suddenly springs a divorce on her and expects her to go away quietly and just live in a cottage. Instead of that, she steals his beloved Bentley car and drives to the south of France and has a whole new life with some friends. And I think, that makes people feel really good when they read it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of humor in there as well. Like, hey, I'm getting you back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you feel very, very justified in the whole book. I mean, obviously, it's not all happy because the story takes you from the 30s and it takes you through World War II. And so some very sad things happen in it as well. But the fact that she has this circle of wonderful people, it's rather, when you think of Cheers or those things, friends, when you've got the circle of friends around you, which is what she has. And I think that's why the book is comforting, because there are people who care for each other throughout the whole of this story.
And do you think that it is difficult for someone to make a living as an author now?
I think it's always been difficult. I don't think it's the big problem now is that we're dealing also with people who self-publish their books. Some people have done incredibly well with this, but it's hard work. If you you get the book is put up on Amazon, how do you get anybody to notice it? And so I think people go into this with a mistaken sense of, oh, I'll just write my book and put it up on Amazon and everybody will buy it and I'll make a fortune. I personally have earned readers one at a time, but it's taken an awful long time. I mean, now I have a very nice living, but I'm very aware that there are a lot of people who are just as good writers as I am, who came out with a good series at the same time that I did, and then their numbers did keep going up. And so I'm quite aware also of the role of luck. You're very lucky if you meet the right people at the right time. And I met my agent at the right time. I mean, obviously, also, you have to keep coming up with good ideas. There's only one thing I can do personally, and that is write a better book every single time I write a book. And I'm very well aware of that. They did a survey once. Mystery Writers of America did a survey, and I think only 4% of writers earned over 40,000, and only 2% earned only over 80,000. So
it's like anything. You have to just keep going when you're first starting out.
Yeah, you have to do everything you can. You have to keep going. You have to network. Writing's a very lonely profession. You sit there in your little room and you type and you think, God, I hope you're good. And you go from elation to despair. I still do that after all these books. What is it, 63 to date, I think, yeah. I think, oh, well, this is really good. It's working very well. And then 3 pages later, I think, this is rubbish. Who's going to read this? So you could, you just have to keep working. When I first started writing mysteries, I joined Mystery Writers of America, Sisters in Crime, and you go and you network. And from those networks, you build up real friendships.
You've had such an impressive career, and you continue to have such an impressive career. And I'm also very impressed with the volume. I mean, how in the world do you keep up with that?
It's insane, isn't it? I've now moved down to one Royal Finest book, which they're a delight to write, and they're fairly easy because I'm writing about a world that I know each time. So it's like, each time you go back, it's like going back to a family reunion. You know the people you might meet. You know what her house looks like, things like that. So those books are fairly easy to write in many ways. You just have to come up with a really clever plot and some funny things that will happen along the way. But these big books, Castle in the Glen, 430 pages, I think, they require a lot of plotting. They require a lot of research. So they are quite intense. And then I do the Molly books with Clare in the summer. So, I should slow down. I don't need to write anymore. I should slow down. I should just enjoy. But then I've got so many ideas that I'm dying to write about that are all so different from each other. I'm trying to decide what to write next, because when I'm writing a book, I always like to start the research for the next book and do the reading ahead, so to speak, the background reading. I've got all these different ideas that I have to write.
Well, I think that you have so many amazing ideas. We can't wait to read them all. Rhys, thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
You've been listening to Chapter Chat. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And for more positive content, check out our supporter, the Be Sweet Y'all podcast by Karen Key Smith.